So the Leadership Consortium owes its name and its origin from the fact that a consortium is in essence a grouping and a collective of ideas and thoughts. And it's embedded in the fact that leadership per se is not normally in the hands of one person. It should be a collective, it should involve different perspectives, it should involve a broad spectrum of what is possible from the leadership perspective. The Zenger-Folkman family of colleagues around the world represent a broad group of people who are playing in the leadership space. And our Australian colleagues, Terry Reynolds and Glenn Price, have done a magnificent job in putting together a set of podcasts that address the questions and the recipes within the Zenger-Folkman methodology. These podcasts represent step-by-step, short, bite-sized, normally about 3 to 4 minutes, ideas, concepts, and tips and tricks as to how we can build our extraordinary leadership. So our invitation is to enjoy these podcasts, squeeze as much value as you can out of them, and make it part of building your leadership stepway to extraordinary. The 14th podcast highlights the impact that it can have if we leverage what we call the halo concept in leadership terms. It's probably true to say that many of us are constantly looking for more heroes or heroines in our landscape to be able to help us and to guide and to set role models. However, it is true that each and every single one of us has the ability to be able to become dramatically better leaders. This halo effect is a phenomenon whereby we tend to mimic and look up to our leaders, and we tend to emulate their best practices, but also their worst practices. The opportunity for us is how we leverage this halo effect for our own benefit in terms of us moving towards extraordinary leadership.
Welcome to the Leadership Digital podcast series with Glenn Price and Terry Reynolds. One of our most interesting findings was that some leaders seem to be able to do no wrong. These remarkable leaders tend to be rated at the 90th percentile, the top 10%, on almost all leadership competencies. Simultaneously, some leaders could do no right. Their ratings fell in the lowest percentile, the bottom 10%, on almost all competencies. We believe that both sets of ratings are a distortion. When leaders perform extraordinarily well on a few behaviours, people's impressions of them on other competencies tend to be distorted positively. The opposite effect seems to occur for those with a few profound weaknesses. This halo effect can be a useful tool for those seeking to improve their leadership skills. We have all seen the halo effect in action. How many times have we been disappointed when we hear a speech by a famous actor or an athlete? Why did we even believe he or she had something insightful or even interesting to say? Just because a person can act or play sports does not mean he or she will have the wisdom to share on other topics. We see the effect on the negative side when we demonize people who have made serious mistakes in the past. One explanation for this halo effect comes from fascinating research by Leon Festinger. Festinger describes how people experience tension when they believe two contradictory ideas, such as, "My manager is a terrible leader," and "My manager is very good at solving complex and difficult problems." Hundreds of experiments have shown that people will do whatever is necessary to reduce the dissonance between conflicting ideas. When leaders improve their abilities on a few competencies, this creates a potentially useful dissonance in the minds of others. People ask themselves, how can this leader be so effective on some things, but less effective on others? People then close the gap on the dissonance by shifting their beliefs. They assume leaders are more competent than they truly are, creating a positive effect for leaders who develop extraordinary strengths. And you can take advantage of this halo effect by following 3 key tips. 1. Build up a few profound strengths. Not only will your strengths help produce positive results, they will also create a powerful impression of competence. 2. Be great at what your organization cares about. You will get the most mileage from your strengths if they're in areas that are highly valued. If your organization cares most about excellent communication skills, make sure you communicate clearly. And 3, let people know your talents. While you don't want to alienate people by showing off, you do want to let people know your capabilities. The more they know your strengths, the more pressure they will feel to assume you have strengths in other areas as well. Let the halo effect work for you.
It's a pleasure to be able to share these thoughts and ideas with you, and hopefully be part of allowing you to adopt a journey where extraordinary leadership is an opportunity and a growth area for you and your teams.